Hello everyone, I am Prayana Subba, Assistant Professor in the Department of History, Salesian College, Sonata, tuning into Radio Salesian Lecture Series. Today, I will be taking the honours paper of second semester, Core Course 3, that is History of India 2. I will be discussing Chapter 1b from the first unit Economy and Society, circa 300 BCE to circa CE 300. Today we will be discussing the chapter Urban Growth in Northern India, Central India and the Deccan. We also have craft production, trade and commerce, trade and trade routes and coinage of this period to be discussed. However, before moving or jumping directly into the urban growth of this region of this period, we will today have the introductory lecture about the importance of this period, about the political background of this period, and also about the sources that are available to us for the study of this period. This period of history, that is from 300 BCE to 300 CE, is a transition period from BCE to CE that we can see, but it was a period of transition in many other aspects of history as well: politics, economy, religion and society. There are few points which I am going to discuss about the importance of this period. The first one is, this period we see a lot of northwest invasions taking place, like the new kingdoms or the dynasties of Indo-Greeks, Shakas, Parthians, Kushanas. All these new people were migrating from Central Asia into the Northwestern Asia. So we see that the political focus was shifting from Eastern India to Western India. Earlier we see that Magadha was very important politically and administratively. We see great dynasties like Magadha. Before Magadha we have seen Nandas, then much before Nandas we have seen Haryanka, Shishunaga dynasties rising into this region. Among the 16 Mahajanapadas, it was Magadha which rose into prominence. But now from this period, the shift of political focus was moving towards west. Another important point is, in this period we see the transition in Deccan India as well. Deccan India was going through a transformation from the early megalithic culture, the stone culture, to early formation of state polity and society. Third, why this period was also important is because in this period we see growth of urbanization throughout the entire Indian subcontinent, with the growth of city life, huge agricultural production, trade and commerce, and increasing use of money and coins as a medium of exchange. That is in fact the topic for discussion in this unit. Another major change of this period was a new cultural wave which engulfed the Indian subcontinent because of the invasions and development in trade, especially in the Northwest India. The Northwest India became a major cultural crossroad. Like the people who were coming from different regions, they brought along with them new religion, new language, new culture, and it gave a new shape to the cultural history of India, which was depicted into various forms of art, architecture, and many other representations. In the field of religion also, we see that the image worship in shrines were empowering over the cultic and sectarian practices which were already there in India. Now the religious activities were increasingly institutionalized, which was reflected in religious texts, religious structures, and inscriptions. Like for example, we can see that Buddha was being increasingly worshipped into shrines, taking forms of various images, which was not a practice before. So we see that in this period there was a lot of influences from various other places, and we see a lot of transitions happening in this period. Now, if we look into the political background of this period, we see a lot of dynasties also emerging and declining. As I have mentioned earlier also, that it was the period of the decline of the Mauryas. We see after the Mauryas, the Shunga dynasty came into prominence under the leadership of Pushyamitra Shunga, having Pataliputra as its capital. After Shungas, it was Kanvas under Vasudeva, also having center at Pataliputra. Then after we have Satavahanas. In fact, we cannot say then after because the origin of Satavahanas is very controversial if we look into the Puranas. But we are sure about the first founder of the Satavahanas, that was Simuka. The dynasty was formed in the Deccan India. At the same time period, if we look into the northwest, we see Indo-Greeks also forming their dynasty. They were the satrapas of Seleucid Empire of Seleucus Nicator. Under Deodatus I, in and around mid-3rd century BC, they became independent and they formed their dynasty over today's modern Afghanistan. We also see Saka Pallavas or the Scytho-Parthians, which formed their dynasty over 1st century BCE. They were also invaders. They first established themselves under the leadership of Mavis or Muga into northwestern India. Then after we see another great dynasty, that was Kushanas, who were the Yuchi tribes of Central Asia. They were actually divided or they were broken into various tribes and principalities, but for the first time in 1st century BCE, under the reign of Kujulu Khatwaisis, they were united, and that led to the formation of the Kushana dynasty. In Kushana dynasty, we have Kanishka as a great ruler. Under him, many developments took place. In fact, the Shaka era, 78 AD, was termed during his time period. We also have Shaka Satrapa of Western India. Satrapa were the subordinate rulers. They were the subordinate rulers of the Scytho-Parthians in Western India, formed around early century CE. The first line of Satrapas were those of Mambarus, and the other important lines were those of Shaharatas and Kardamakas. Towards the far south also, we see other dynasties like Cheras, which was established by Udujanjeral around 2nd century BC. Their capital was Muziris. Cholas, established by Vijayalaya Chola, and in around 300 BCE, their capital was Urayur. And the Pandyas, their founder was Neduyan Jeral, formed in and around 4th century BCE. Their capital was Madurai. We can find a lot of information about the Sangam polity in their literature. If we look into the sources for painting the picture of this period, we have different kind of sources like literary, archaeological and foreign accounts. First, let us discuss the literary sources. In literary sources, we have first as religious texts. We have Jataka stories or the stories of Buddha's birth. They not only talk about the Buddha birth stories, but they also talk about the stories of ordinary people, traders and travelers. Next, we have Milinda Panho, Lalita Vistara, giving incidental historical references. Milinda Panho is one of the record where there is a conversation between the Greek king Menander and Nagasena. Likewise, we have Jain texts giving incidental historical references just like those of the Buddhist texts. We have Puranas giving details of political history of that time period. We have epics, Dharma Sutras and Smritis painting the picture of the society of that time period. Epics which shows us how the early Hindu cults and religious practices emerged. Manusmriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti. However, there are two ways in which we can analyze these texts. One is looking them from historical perspective, looking into their historicity, and the other from the intentionality or the motive, like Patrick Olive has done for Manusmriti. He says that Manusmriti was written in and around 2nd or 3rd century BCE to defend Brahmanical privileges. So why it was written and when it was written, we can analyze the text. Likewise, we have Sanskrit dramas of Ashwaghosa like Sariputra Karna, Saundaryananda, and Buddha Charita. We have also medical works of Charaka and Shrushruta. Sangam literature also throws light in important features of that time period. Many anthologies, Pattu Pattus, Tolkappiyam, the earliest of the Tamil grammar, Akkam, and Puram poems, epics, Manimikalai. They also talk about a lot of Sangam polity, society, and many other aspects of history. And we also have foreign accounts in the form of Greco-Roman texts. Classical accounts of Arrian, Strabo, Pliny the Elder talks about the affluent trade between India and the Roman Empire, its economy and society. We also have Periplus Marius Erythrea by unknown author, which gives us a record of travel account from Red Sea to India. Next is the Chinese texts. Jin Hanshu and Hao Hanshu, talking about the movement and migration of the Central Asian people into Indian subcontinent. Here we can locate the history or dig the history of the Kushans, Shakapartyans, and many other tribes entering into the Indian subcontinent at that time period. Next into the line we have archaeological sources. In archaeological sources we have various excavations done, and we have different levels of excavation like period 1, period 2, period 3, and the deeper we go it is period 1 and followed by period 2, period 3, and likewise. We have various northern black polished ware and post-northern black polished ware levels, signifying the expansion of urban centers in these places. We also have fortified settlements. Considerable use of burned bricks are there, which suggests the element of planning, that their cities and towns were properly planned. We have artifacts like red ware wheel-turned pottery, coins, seals, terracotta objects, and we also have the Deccan megalithic phase, which shows the transition from the Stone Age to the early historical phase. Archaeology also throws light upon the material and the religious culture of the period. Next we have inscriptions, which were of wide range, different types, and the number of the inscription increased dramatically in this period. We have North Indian royal inscriptions from Prakrit to Sanskrit. We also have the earliest of the Tamil inscriptions from South India. Inscriptions were basically of two types, royal inscriptions and private inscriptions. Royal inscriptions provide us dynastic history. They were basically the royal grants and the royal commands, whereas the private inscriptions outnumbered these royal inscriptions. They were large in number. They were basically the donation. They were recording the facts of donations made by ordinary people. They were of diverse social background, giving us valuable source of information about the social and religious history of the period. Inscriptions take us to the realm of reality and actuality. It is not like archaeology or literary, which can be exaggerations or like half history. Next we have coins, which also serve as an important source of information. In this period we see that there was increasing number of coinage because that was the period of growth of urbanization. We have different variety of coins. Number one is Indo-Greek coins, which were bilingual and biscriptal coins, giving information about almost all the Greek kings. Next is the large number of gold coins of the Kushanas and also the copper coins, talking about the prosperity of the dynasty. Next we have Satavahanas, silver, copper, lead and protein coins. We also have found Roman gold coins in the peninsular India, giving the picture of the Indo-Roman affluent trade transactions. Not only that, but the people of India were imitating the Roman gold coins. We have dynastic punch mark coins of far South India, Cholas, Cheras and Pandyas. The non-monarchical copper bronze coins of Arjunayanas, Udayas, Madhavas and the Yaudhayas. We also have city coins issued by urban administration and Nigama coins issued by the merchant guilds of the period, reflecting their power and authority during that time period. So this will be the first lecture on this unit. Next we will move on to the towns and cities in lecture 2. Thank you so much.